Hello, my name is Sharon Palermo. I am an American citizen and a Canadian citizen. I was raised in the United States, New Jersey, and came to Canada in 1975 when I got married. Um, at the time, I was a very young, healthy, not very young, 28, but I was a young, healthy woman who really had never had any medical problems, and so therefore I had very little experience with the U.S. healthcare system at that point. Certainly nothing negative. We arrived in Canada, and within a year we started a family. And being not young and naive as I was at the time, the cost of starting a family just never once entered my head. And here in Canada, it actually didn't need to. I mean, I got into a doctor, didn't have to pay a thing, all of my hospitalization, all of my prenatal care was taken care of. Two kids were born. They were healthy, happy kids, but they went through many of the ordinary kinds of medical experiences that all kids do. I mean, the other night I was trying to count up how many times we visited emergency before they were 18 years old. And I think I counted 6 or 7, like 4 times for stitches, once for a broken wrist, once for a tetanus shot after my doctor's hours were closed for the day, a really high fever, just really ordinary things that people run into. But had I been in the States, I would have had to think, what's this going to cost me? Then, of course, there are all your other medical things that you take kids for regularly to your regular doctor. And it never occurred to me that, gee, if I were in the US, I would have to pay for this, or I would have to co-pay for this. And when I think about it now, I mean, I realize what a burden that must be on many, many people who don't have insurance, thinking, do we really need to go to the doctor for this? Wouldn't want to have to live with that. Anyway, all of that was just rather ordinary, and we were all doing pretty well. And then in 1996, I was involved in an automobile accident that left me with a spinal cord injury, a really catastrophic change in one's life, an instant change. We were in New Brunswick when that happened, and I was taken to the Moncton City Hospital, to their intensive care unit. And I have to say, we were really, really impressed with their intensive care unit. It was absolutely state of the art. Every patient had their own room. The rooms were separated by glass walls so that the nurses, while they were caring for you, could see across the entire unit to what was happening with other patients. But you, as a patient, could not be seen by other patients, and didn't see them, and felt that you really had a lot of privacy. There was a comfortable upholstered chair and a little table sitting by a window for your visitors. My husband was able to stay there 24 hours a day if he wanted to. And he was there like a lot for an entire month. The care was wonderful. The nurses, they were superb. And not only were they good for what they did, but they were really good with people and sort of knew you and tried to get to know you. One of them actually took some time out to read me poetry. A couple of others took a lunch hour to make a speaking board for me because I was intubated and couldn't speak. So I had to be able to point to pictures and things to let them know what I wanted. So, it was really a positive experience going through, in the midst of a horrible experience. At the end of the month, I was taken by ambulance to my home hospital here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I was in that hospital for 2 weeks, and then I was admitted to the Nova Scotia Rehabilitation Center. I spent 10 months in rehab. At the time, I was told that in the United States, insurance companies would only pay for 6 weeks worth of rehab for people with an injury like mine. And man, I cannot imagine having to go home after 6 weeks. Um, we were not ready in any fashion. First of all, I had lost a lot of strength lying in intensive care. I had use of my arms, but I basically had no muscle in them at that point. It took me a long time to regain enough strength to transfer out of bed, to wheel around in my wheelchair by myself, um, even to feel comfortable staying out of bed for more than a few hours at a time. And there just were so many, many things to learn, and not only for me to learn, but my husband had to learn. He had to learn all sorts of care, which he had never dreamed of before. I mean, he does do a lot of my care still to this day, personal care. And we had to go home after 6 weeks. It would have been just adding one trauma on top of another. I mean, I really can't imagine it. Um, and practically everybody has to make at least minor renovations to their home. They need, time to put up a ramp, time to widen a doorway into their bathroom, something like that. So, when I think about what would have happened if we'd been in the States, I don't know. My husband probably would have had to quit his job or take major time off. Um, and all of that care, every single bit of it, including 10 months in rehab, was at no cost to me whatsoever. So if I had had to pay for that, I mean, we were well off. We certainly weren't poor by any stretch of the imagination, but it probably would have bankrupted us. So, when I think about that, the idea that insurance would only pay for like 6 weeks of rehab, it just makes me think in the States, I mean, even regular people with decent insurance would run out of insurance. It's like you have to almost be wealthy to be certain that you're going to always be able to get the care that you'll need, not knowing what might actually happen to you some point in your life. Anyway, I'm really, really grateful that I live in Canada for that, for the healthcare, for other reasons too, of course, but that's a really big one. One of my sons is married and lives down in the States, and I toyed with the idea now and then of maybe going back once my husband retires, but I'm not sure that I actually could. I don't think I could get insurance with my pre-existing condition unless something changes. And Canada's healthcare isn't perfect, everybody knows that. But everybody here gets care, and nobody ever has to worry about whether or not they can see a doctor. And, sometimes waits are a little bit long, but in the end, you get care. So, anyway, that's my story. It's really great up here. Wanted to get better down there. Okay, thanks.